In 1939, dozens of beachgoers on the coast of South Africa watched a massive 17th century ship glide silently across the water in full sail. The vessel appeared so close they could see the ancient rigging and tattered canvas catching wind that wasn't blowing. Children pointed at the ghostly ship. Parents stood frozen, unable to explain what they were witnessing. Some grabbed cameras, but by the time they focused their lenses, the ship had begun to fade. Then, within seconds, it vanished completely. The witnesses weren't drunk, they weren't hallucinating, and they definitely weren't alone. For more than 300 years, sailors, naval officers, and even royalty have reported seeing the very same ghost ship, a mysterious Dutch merchant vessel with blood-red sails, appearing before storms, bringing death to anyone who sees it. The ship always appears near the Cape of Good Hope, at the southern tip of Africa, one of the most dangerous shipping routes on Earth. The Flying Dutchman is considered the most documented ghost ship in maritime history. Hundreds of reported sightings, official naval logbooks, credible eyewitnesses. But hidden beneath the legend may be a terrifying true story, one involving a real captain, a real ship, and a crime so horrifying that an entire crew was cursed to sail the oceans forever. The story begins during the Dutch Golden Age. The Netherlands had become one of the richest nations in Europe. Its powerful Dutch East India Company controlled some of the most profitable trade routes in the world. Ships carried spices, silk, tea, gold, and countless other treasures from Asia back to Europe. One successful voyage could make a captain rich for life. But reaching Asia meant passing one place feared by every sailor: the Cape of Good Hope, where the Atlantic Ocean crashes into the Indian Ocean, a place of violent currents, towering waves, and hurricane-force winds. Sailors didn't call it the Cape of Good Hope, they called it the Cape of Storms. Dozens of ships disappeared here every year. Thousands of sailors never returned home. Among those captains was Hendrik van der Decken. Historical records suggest he may have been a real Dutch sea captain. His family had lost everything during his childhood. From that moment, money became his obsession. He joined the Dutch East India Company at a young age. His skill quickly earned promotions. By his mid-20s, he commanded his own merchant vessel. Other captains admired his courage, but feared his recklessness. His company loved him because he completed voyages faster than almost anyone else. Speed meant profit, and profit meant promotion. In the spring of 1680, Van der Decken departed Amsterdam carrying valuable cargo destined for Batavia, modern-day Jakarta. The voyage progressed normally until his ship approached the Cape of Good Hope. Experienced sailors noticed something frightening. Dark clouds were gathering. The winds were changing. Storm season had arrived. Other ships anchored safely, waiting for better weather. His first mate begged him to delay. Just a few days could save everyone's lives. But Van der Decken refused. Every day spent waiting meant losing money. Soon, the Atlantic unleashed its full fury. Violent winds tore across the ocean. Massive waves crashed over the deck. The masts groaned under impossible pressure. Crew members struggled simply to remain standing. Water swept across the ship, dragging sailors into the sea. Still, Van der Decken refused to turn back. His officers pleaded with him. His crew begged for mercy. According to legend, he pulled out a pistol, threatening to shoot anyone who questioned his orders. Then, standing before the raging storm, he shouted words that would echo through history. He swore he would round the Cape, even if it took until Judgment Day, even if God himself tried to stop him. Those words, according to legend, became his curse. As the storm reached its peak, lightning ripped across the sky. The ship vanished into darkness. The lanterns disappeared. The sea swallowed everything. No wreckage was ever found. No survivors reached shore. The Dutch East India Company declared the vessel lost.
147 men gone forever. Or so everyone believed. 3 months later, another Dutch merchant ship approached the Cape. Its lookout spotted something impossible approaching through the mist, an old sailing ship moving directly against the wind. At first, the crew assumed it was another merchant vessel, but as it drew closer, terror spread across the deck. The ship looked ancient. Its sails hung in rotten strips. Its hull appeared shattered. Standing at the wheel was a captain with a face twisted with rage. The crew recognized the vessel immediately. It was Vanderdecken's ship, the same ship that had disappeared months earlier. They signaled. No answer came. The ghostly vessel continued silently towards them. Moments later, it passed directly through their ship. Not around it, through it. The sailors felt only an icy blast of air. Then, the phantom faded into the fog. Weeks later, another crew reported seeing exactly the same ship, same location, same captain, same silent crew. Soon after, their vessel mysteriously sank without any storm at all. Stories spread rapidly across every major port. Sailors whispered about a cursed Dutch captain forever trapped at sea, a ghost ship unable to reach its destination, unable to die, unable to escape. Thus, the legend of the Flying Dutchman was born, and it terrified every sailor who dared sail through the Cape of Good Hope.
By the early 18th century, the story had become far more than a sailor's tale. It had become a warning. Every crew sailing toward the Cape of Good Hope knew exactly what to do if they ever encountered the Flying Dutchman. Never acknowledge the ship, never wave, never answer its signals, and above all, never accept anything from its crew. According to countless sailors, the ghost ship sometimes launched a small rowing boat toward passing vessels. Inside sat silent sailors carrying letters or sealed packages. The strange part, those letters were addressed to people who had died decades earlier. Some were written in languages no one could identify. Others bore names long forgotten by history. The legend claimed anyone foolish enough to accept one of these cursed messages would soon meet the same fate. Their ship would sink, or worse, they would join the Flying Dutchman forever, condemned to sail the oceans without rest. Whether sailors believed every detail hardly mattered. No captain was willing to take the chance. Then came one of the most famous sightings in maritime history. One witnessed not by frightened fishermen, but by officers of the Royal Navy and even a future King of England. It was July 11th. The British warship HMS Bacchante was sailing near the Cape of Good Hope. Among those on board was Prince George of Wales, who would later become King George V. Just before dawn, the officer on watch spotted an unusual glow on the horizon. At first, he believed another ship was approaching, but something felt wrong. The vessel emitted an eerie red light as though it glowed from within. Despite almost no wind, its sails remained completely full. It moved unnaturally fast across the dark sea. As it drew closer, the officers saw an ancient Dutch sailing ship. Its rigging hung in tatters. Its hull appeared centuries old. Shadow-like figures walked silently across the deck. No voices, no cannon signals, no sound at all. The crew attempted to signal the mysterious vessel. There was no reply. Moments later, the ship passed directly across their bow and slowly faded into the darkness. The encounter shocked everyone aboard. More importantly, it was officially recorded. The Royal Navy logbook described the mysterious red glow, the ghostly sailing ship, and its impossible disappearance. One of the most credible pieces of evidence ever connected to the Flying Dutchman. But something even stranger happened later that same day.
Only hours after the sighting, the sailor who had first spotted the ghost ship climbed into the rigging. Without warning, he lost his footing. He plunged nearly 70 feet onto the deck below. He died instantly. Many aboard believed the Flying Dutchman had marked him for death. Prince George himself later mentioned the incident, describing the strange ship and the sailor's fatal accident as connected events. Throughout the 19th century, reports continued, again and again and again. In 1823, British Captain George Barker reported seeing an ancient Dutch ship sailing beside his own. The vessel appeared to be burning. Bright flames covered its deck, yet no smoke rose into the sky. Minutes later, the burning ship simply vanished. In 1835, whalers watched in horror as the Flying Dutchman sailed directly toward towering coastal cliffs. They expected a devastating collision. Instead, the ghost ship passed straight through solid rock before disappearing without leaving a single piece of wreckage behind. Then, in 1881, 11 Royal Navy sailors aboard HMS Inconstant all witnessed the same terrifying sight: a glowing three-masted sailing ship moving against the wind, perfectly silent. It crossed their course, then vanished into thin air. Each sailor gave nearly identical testimony. Independent witnesses, same description, same location, no explanation. But perhaps the most extraordinary sighting of all occurred in broad daylight. March 23rd, more than 60 people were enjoying a peaceful afternoon near Glencairn Beach, near Cape Town, South Africa. Families relaxed beside the ocean, children built sandcastles, fishermen prepared their boats. Without warning, someone pointed toward the sea. Every eye turned. There, only a few hundred yards offshore, was an enormous 17th century sailing ship. Its weathered wooden hull, rotting sails, and ancient rigging were perfectly visible. People could even make out ghostly figures moving across the deck. The ship made no sound. No crashing waves, no creaking wood, nothing. Professional photographer J.K. Langley quickly aimed his camera. Just as he prepared to take the photograph, the impossible happened. The ship didn't sail away. It simply faded, slowly, like mist disappearing beneath sunlight. Within seconds, it was gone. Newspapers interviewed dozens of witnesses. Every description matched. An ancient Dutch merchant ship, tattered sails, silent movement, a sudden disappearance. Maritime experts searched for explanations. No historical vessel was anywhere near the area. No film production, no replica ship, nothing. More than 60 people had witnessed the same impossible event, and no one could explain it.
If the Flying Dutchman wasn't a ghost, then what was it? For more than 3 centuries, scientists, historians, and sailors have searched for an answer. The most widely accepted explanation is something called a superior mirage, also known as a fata morgana. This rare optical illusion occurs when layers of warm and cold air bend light in unusual ways. Ships far beyond the horizon can suddenly appear much closer than they really are. They may seem to float above the ocean. They can appear stretched, distorted, or even disappear within seconds. The Cape of Good Hope is one of the best places in the world for this phenomenon. Here, cold water from Antarctica meets warm African air, creating powerful atmospheric conditions almost every day. Some scientists believe this alone explains every Flying Dutchman sighting. Others disagree.
A mirage may explain distant ships, but it cannot easily explain why so many witnesses described the exact same vessel. The same Dutch merchant ship, the same torn sails, the same silent crew, the same mysterious captain. Again and again for over 300 years. Another theory focuses on bioluminescence. Tiny organisms in the ocean sometimes glow when disturbed. During rare conditions, entire sections of the sea can appear to shine with an eerie blue or green light. Some researchers believe this glowing water, combined with fog, may create the illusion of a phantom ship. But critics argue bioluminescence cannot create detailed masts, rigging, or human figures walking across a deck. Then came another disturbing possibility. Maritime archaeologists estimate that more than 3,000 shipwrecks lie near the Cape of Good Hope. Many belong to Dutch merchant vessels from the 17th and 18th centuries. Some believe strong underwater currents may occasionally lift parts of these wrecks from the seabed. For a brief moment, an ancient ship could rise toward the surface before sinking once again beneath the waves. If true, witnesses were never seeing ghosts. They were looking at floating tombs, the final resting places of hundreds of forgotten sailors. Yet, even this explanation leaves many questions unanswered. Because some sightings occurred in perfect daylight, others were witnessed by trained naval officers. Many were recorded independently, decades apart, yet described almost identical details. Perhaps the most frightening part of the legend isn't whether the ship exists, it's why the story survived. Between the years 1600 and 1800, the Dutch East India Company lost more than 400 ships around the Cape of Good Hope. Over 60,000 sailors died in these waters. For generations, the Flying Dutchman became a symbol of every crew that never returned home. A reminder that greed, arrogance, and the sea can destroy even the strongest men. Captain Hendrik van der Decken became the perfect warning, a man so obsessed with profit that he ignored every warning and sacrificed his own crew. According to legend, his punishment was eternal, forever sailing, forever searching, never reaching his destination. Over time, the legend inspired books, operas, movies, and countless works of fiction. Richard Wagner transformed the Flying Dutchman into a tragic hero searching for redemption. Modern films turned the ghost ship into a supernatural vessel carrying lost souls across the seas. But the original legend was never about romance, it was about consequences. It warned every captain that no amount of wealth was worth the lives of those under his command. Even today, reports continue. In 2011, a fishing crew near Cape Town claimed they watched an old sailing ship emerge from heavy fog before disappearing only minutes later. In 2016, tourists recorded distant footage of what some believed was the Flying Dutchman. Experts argued endlessly. Some called it a modern yacht. Others insisted it was something far stranger. Then, in 2022, researchers scanning the ocean floor detected what appeared to be the remains of a 17th century Dutch merchant ship. When they returned 2 weeks later, the wreck was gone. Perhaps there is a logical explanation for every sighting. Perhaps every witness was fooled by weather, light, or the imagination. Or perhaps some mysteries refuse to disappear. Somewhere beyond the crashing waves, near the stormy waters of the Cape of Good Hope, an old Dutch ship with torn sails may still appear through the mist. Still challenging the storm, still searching for a destination he will never reach. And if one day you find yourself sailing those waters and an old Dutch ship with torn sails appears through the mist, remember the warning sailors have whispered for centuries. Do not wave. Do not answer. Do not look for too long, because some legends survive for a reason. The Flying Dutchman may be only a story, or it may still be waiting just beyond the fog.